Recording. My name is Julia Morim. I am the VP of Image Awards for the FPRA Orlando Chapter. I'm joined today with Cynthia Velasco. She's my counterpart, and she is the one that is the VP of Awards and Recognition. So together we are the Image Awards team. And we serve the Orlando chapter. We work a lot with the state board with the competitions and reward program. Just some housekeeping items for today's event. We are focused on the program today on top level highlights and some of key details that you need to know. Our workshop that's going to happen in the next month or early in February, it's going to take you to the process, all the steps involved in crafting your award-winning submission. And if you have any questions today, please drop them in the chat. We're going to have some time at the end of the presentation to address all of those. And just to make sure everyone can hear us, if you can keep yourself on mute, we would appreciate it. And by the end, we will ask for the ones that have questions to unmute themselves and ask. So Cynthia, if you want to go ahead and get started.
All right, so as Julia introduced us, and I'm not sure why her name defaulted to something weird. This is Julia. She's your VP of Image Awards, and I'm your VP of Awards and Recognition. So Image Awards, as you all know, is a precursor to FPRA's Golden Image Awards. It provides PR practitioners, such as all of you, a really great platform to be recognized in your own home markets for their outstanding work, public relations tools, and programs. Entrants can be recognized with a Judges Award, an Award of Distinction, Image Award, and/or Grand Image Award in 4 total divisions and various categories. So I'm going to go over the different divisions very briefly here. Division A Public Relations Program is a public relations program that is defined as a broad-based communications endeavor using 2 or more public relations tools. Division B would be collateral of public relations, and this includes any material, printed or digital, used for a public relations purpose, either standing alone or as part of a public relations program. It includes written and electronic material and specialty items. In the case of regularly printed, produced digitally or printed materials such as newsletters or magazines, 1 to 3 issues, should you decide to enter that specific category and division, should be included along in your support materials. Division C, digital tools of public relations. This includes any online, audio or audiovisual presentation or program that serves a public relations objective. Audio, video, or electronic presentation should also be submitted with a copy of the script or storyboard if available if you're entering this division. Division D is for any of the students who are with us here today. Student projects and public relations. This division is restricted only to entries submitted by full or part-time students enrolled at accredited Florida universities or colleges. Student projects and public relations include printed or digital materials and campaigns created for a public relations purpose, whether assigned for a course that they may be taking or completed outside of the classroom. A photocopy, if you are a student entering in this division, does need to be included and attached to the entry form. So in the interest of time, we really encourage you to view the specific descriptions of each category. And I'm going to just advance here online at fpraimage.org, which is just this here, for guidance on which category will special event, virtual special event, and other. And you may be wondering what other is. That's where you would go to find out what exactly that refers to. For Division B and Division C, Division B, collateral public relations, this will include annual reports, brochures, magazines, newsletters, news releases or pitches, specialty items, and other. Division C, digital tools of public relations. This would include online audience engagement, digital promotion, social media, video internal, video external, video public service, video institutional, website, or other. And then lastly, our student categories: news release or pitch, public service announcement, public relations campaign, digital communication, media and special event. As I encourage you to do, please go ahead and visit fpraimage.org, again, shown at the bottom of this slide here, to view the very specific descriptions that they provide for each category as you really consider where one of your projects may best be fit to really help you have a chance at winning. If you do view these options on their website and are still uncertain about which one to choose, we will have a mentoring resource available to assist you through that process, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Whether you've entered Image before or you're completely brand new to the process, we do have a few key details to share about this year's program timeline. So I'm going to pass it over to Julia for those updates.
Thank you, Cynthia. So the official call for entries will start in early January. So I encourage you guys to keep an eye on your social media and your inbox, because we will be sending an announcement once that open. However, we encourage everyone to start thinking about their submissions right now. The deadline this year will be Monday, February 27 at 11:59 p.m. In the last few years, we haven't extended the deadline, so we're not planning on extending the deadline because we have a tight window to facilitate the competition and host our event. And if you're new to Image and you're in the whole submission writing process, we encourage you to start thinking now, because it can take several weeks, several hours, just to think about what you want to submit, craft your image submissions, prepare all the support materials. So being prepared, plan, being dedicated to putting the hours is very important. And also the last and most important for me as an Image chair is that our event will be taking place in April next year. So I can't wait to see you guys there.
All right, well, today's session, as we already mentioned, is really trying to provide more of the overview, the 10,000-foot view of what Image is about for those of you who are to probably going to be able to capture all of it. That's totally okay. We have actually organized a few resources for your reference as you're working on your entry. So following this afternoon's presentation, we're going to share a submission worksheet that can help you as you're crafting your entry, Image Awards glossary and guide, research in real life to help you along, Image Award samples. These are winning entries, so you can kind of look at their formatting and some of the choices that those entrants need for inspiration to help you along. Image Awards Chair Handbook. This was recently updated in October of this year, and this is what Julie and I are using to facilitate this year's competition. And there's certainly a wealth of information in there. Obviously, not all of it will apply to you as you guys are not running the program or planning the event, but there's definitely a lot of great information specifically on the judging process in there that I think will be valuable to all of you. And we're happy to share that with you, and it will be in our online resource library. And then lastly, as we mentioned, there will be a recording of this program that will also be added to that resource library, if not later today, by the weekend, and you can refer back to this as well. So these items are going to really act as resources as you're contemplating which campaign and category you want to enter, and it's really going to help you determine which is the best fit overall. So I'm going to turn it back to Julia briefly just to cover some administrative aspects of this year's program.
So to support you through the process of preparing your submission, especially if this is your first time entering, the FPRA Orlando Area Chapter of Board Directors, we will aid in reviewing your submissions and offering the support and guidance if you're interested in having another set of eyes looking at your entry or your support materials. So if you and your company will like to participate in your mentorship program, Cynthia is dropping right now the link here. This is an interest form. Currently, we are also going to share it over email, and we have it on our website. But if you want to complete the form, we will pair you with one of those accredited board members that will review your submission, offer feedback, and just please give us a few business days to have that set up, but we will get in touch with you right after. Also, continuing with our judging initiative, we want to include senior members that have obtained their APR and or their CPRC credentials. I know in the past few years, some chapter members were discouraged to entering our program because of some of the remarks and feedbacks that they received in their submissions. So we want to make sure that this is a smooth process right now. And we will be swapping our entries with the Southwest Florida chapter again. And we're looking forward to working with their image chairs to work on a seamless and adequate feedback for every single one of the entries.
All right, so we really want to stress to all of you the impact of following RPI in your 2-page summary. And as we mentioned earlier, using a mentor if and when possible to review and assist you with your summaries. I used a mentor the first time that I ever entered image, and that particular year, I won an image award, a judges award, and I won the grand image award for my specific division. So certainly having that person that is really familiar with the RPI process and having had the experience of entering image awards, I think is really going to help all of you along through this process. So we really encourage you to make use of that. With the deadline right around the corner and holidays quickly approaching, we do want to encourage you to start working on your submissions now. I know we've already said that, but we really want to stress it to all of you because it can take days and sometimes weeks, depending on how complex your entry is, to really gather all the supporting materials, all the data, making sure that you're documenting what you're entering. So we know many of you have continued to work on communications initiatives related to COVID, and just all the numerous historic events that we're all living through right now that have taken place throughout this year, but we do want to offer a gentle reminder that everything you worked on related to COVID or these other events may not necessarily be crisis related. And this particular category does tend to have a lot of entries, so just keep that in mind. It's also really important for each of you to review each category thoroughly to really ensure that you've selected the right one for your campaign. And we would also encourage you to explore separating parts of a campaign or an entry that are strong on their own individually. So let's say you have a larger campaign, perhaps a press release, or perhaps a video, or perhaps a brochure or something like that that you produced in this overall campaign. It really could help your increase your chances of winning an award if you can just enter that specific item as part of the overall broader campaign. And also it's going to actually help you by giving you less preparation work for each component by kind of breaking them down into more manageable parts. Additionally, if you've not submitted an image award since 2019, when the process was significantly revamped, we do want to let you know that there are just a few important updates that have happened since that revamp was done. So FPRA actually revamped its judge scoring process based on the feedback that they got in 2019, and made those changes in 2020 to provide more specificity based on the feedback that they got. So this revised judging instrument requires specific criteria to be met in order to win an increasing level of points. Because additional information is inquired, the 1-inch margin requirement was changed to 0.75, and the double spacing requirement was changed to 1.5 spacing. And these changes really provide all of you the opportunity to have that additional space to cover the criteria outlined. These new requirements, as I mentioned, were implemented in 2020 and include all the items that are here on the screen. And I'm going to read them just in case you're multitasking at the moment. Your goals should be identified. And last year, when we had Holly Boldrin, APR CPRC, present at our second image workshop, she provided an example of how she actually bolds her goals and bolds things like the strategies and tactics mentioned in the second bullet, to really help the judges understand and see that information stand out in your entry. So those are just little things that you can do to help along in your submission to make it exceptionally clear to the judges exactly what you want to be assessed on. So like I said, strategies and tactics should be provided and identified. Audience identification should address psychographic and demographic information, should those be available to you. Communications channels used to reach target audience should also be included. And then the sequencing of events or your overall timeline for your submission should be addressed within the implementation section. And then in addition to that, any assigned responsibilities for plan execution should be addressed also within the implementation phase. Communication messages used to reach target audience should also be included. So please make sure you do that. Last year, as we worked through our quality control process at deadline, my previous co-chair Kaylee and I, we saw several entries that missed basic requirements such as the margin and line spacing, or not including a table of contents for your supporting materials. And these are such easy things to overlook, but they can easily also get you disqualified. So please, 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 please make sure to review these details before you submit to ensure your entry is not disqualified, and also to help your image team, because as we're coordinating and collating all of this information together for the audiences, for the judges, it's quite a lot to try and manage, and it can easily be overlooked. Like, we will do the quality control process, but we're also human beings. So please help us out by paying attention to these little, things that can just hurt you in the long run. Additionally, we do often receive questions about how much to include in your supporting materials. This is something that there's a bit of ambiguity on, because there would not be a hard and fast rule that could apply to every particular entry that gets submitted. But just keep in mind that if something is referenced in your submission, there should be reference materials to support it as evidence. So if you're referencing a very specific media release or media placement that was a part of a larger goal or objective, make sure that that's referenced in your support materials. Judges do need to see these materials as they're reviewing your submission, but also don't overburden them by including, perhaps every single media placement that you got or social media post either. Maybe just include the top social media posts or the media placements that were most important to your goals and objectives. So just keep that in mind as you're working through what should be included and what shouldn't. Also, as a tip, many entrants have begun using tools like Canva to organize their supporting materials in a way that is in a little bit more designed fashion to provide it in a way that's a little bit easier to read. However, your supporting materials document doesn't need to be fancy. So if it's easier for you to do it in Word and you follow all the directions, just keep doing it in Word. Don't, reinvent the wheel here, but it is something that some others have done, and they've been able to really display their support materials in interesting ways using that as a tool. Also, if you are currently going through the APR process or you're working with a colleague who is doing so, we really encourage you, and we would encourage you to tell them, if it's a colleague, to submit their panel presentation for an image award. Okay. Like we said earlier, we are going to provide you all a copy of the image chair handbook that we received from the state via email after the program concludes. On page 25, it breaks down how the 2-page summary is scored, allowing you to work backward by ensuring you have each of these items included in your 2-page summary. So you'll see that here. And then also page 28 will provide a breakdown of each award assignment and the guidelines and outlines of how each type of award is given. So as you all start to review this information, please let us know if you have any questions or need further clarification. Julia and I are both here to help, and I'm gonna pass it back over to Julia.
So at this time, we'd like to open the floor for questions. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself. Wendy asked, I'm not sure if you covered this, but what's the time frame from when entry should have taken place?
That is a great question, and I can tell you that really quickly here. Wendy, give me 1 second. Julie, are there any other questions? Well, I have it here in the image chair handbook, and I'm trying to find it as quickly as I can.
I don't believe right now.
Okay, some part of your entry, sorry, Wendy, some part of your entry must have taken place between January 1st, 2022 and March 1st, 2023. So it doesn't need to be the whole campaign or project has been completed, just some part of that entry between January 1st, 2022 and March 1st, 2023.
Does anyone else have any questions that we haven't addressed or that you want us to explain a little bit further?
Looks like Ali shared some great tips in the chat too. She said, if some audience info or budget info is proprietary or wasn't available, make sure to mention that in your entry. Don't just assume that the judges know these things. They are not familiar with you, with your business. In most cases, may not be familiar with exactly what it is that you do. So, definitely don't take those things for granted. Make sure that it's included.
Mm-hmm. I believe that's all we had, Cynthia.
Okay, let me advance here. I'll jump in over here, Julia. So we will be sending out a link to anybody who registered for this program that includes the resources that we mentioned. So if you or your company are interested in receiving support or feedback to brainstorm, review, assist with your submission, go ahead and fill out that Google form. We dropped that link in the chat, but again, it's also on the FPRA chapter website. So if you go to FPRAOrlando.org and go to Image Awards, it will be linked there as well. Just a few things to consider as we wrap up this afternoon. We really wanted to keep this a short and snappy program for all of you. Our next workshop, which will be featuring one of our local members, walking us through their Grand All Image and Golden Image Award winning submission, and as well as tips that she'll be providing, is going to take place in late January, early February. We're still working through the exact date at the moment. So just stay tuned to our social media channels for details. Again, the deadline for awards is February 27th, 2023. So we really encourage you to really start thinking about the submissions now, start gathering what you can. The better you prepared before the holidays and immediately after, it's really going to help you by the time that the entry for deadlines shows up. So thank you all for tuning in today, for supporting the chapter and being here. We really, just are so grateful for all of you being such engaged members, and we really can't wait to see what it is that you decide to enter.
Let me stop the recording.